So I got laid off at Suit and Tyler today. I gave that company 4 years of my life. And for what? Just to be kicked to the curb? No more job, no more money, no more security. Oh, so this is what it's like to be in the video game industry. Mama, I made it! The dirt I have on this company will cause irreparable damage to the entire Suit and Tyler brand. And I just can't wait to burn them out. You know what's even more insulting than getting fired like this? To get the severance I rightfully deserve, I have to sign an NDA. And all they have to offer in their severance package is the lousy Game Awards suit. Anyway, welcome to the 9th annual Tyler's Irrefutably Unbiased Bestest Things of Best Things 2024 Unremarkable Edition, sponsored by Unemployment. Hate your job? Try unemployment. If the entire gaming industry was going to have an Avengers Endgame moment, 2023 would fit the bill. We had banger after Alan Wake 2 after banger all year long. So much banging that fans of the industry were getting quickly fatigued trying to keep up. It's a common thing. I swear it wasn't just me. All these hot games came out, and for what? For developers to get crunched into oblivion? Workaholism chugged down everybody's throats until it turns into alcoholism? Just for all these newfound alcoholics, hi, nice to meet you, to get laid off despite making a critical and commercial success. No, bad Suit and Tyler. Tyler, we are trying to be positive this year. Video games are supposed to be fun. What a novel concept. I should tweet that out. Sorry to the game devs and the fellow gamists out there who are trudging through their own mind-numbing 9-to-5 job and are still being laid off. I'm gonna ignore you now because I don't like bad feelings, and the algorithm's telling me this video already has really low dopamine levels, so 2024 was the quality exhale after a good banging. A steady stream of satisfying games charted across every genre found in both the AAA scene and the indie scene. Sure, it may sound crowded, but they're all just happy they're not within the same year as GTA 6. 'Tis a shame nobody has the disposable income to buy them all. Sorry, I know. Not every game that came out this year was for me. But I challenge anybody who says there wasn't at least one game that was specifically tailored to their taste. Those people never lived through 2014, and it shows. Just look at the Game Awards nominees and you'll see just how diverse this year What? What is this? Elden Ring DLC nominated for Game of the Year? The G Awards jury is ruining the sanctity of our fine industry celebration. Elden Ring already had its flowers. It caught that bouquet last wedding, okay? There are too many worthy games this year to act like we are struggling to meet some kind of GOTY quota. What's the point of this hobby anymore? Why can't we have nice things? How do I stop hating myself so much? Wait, I think this was for another script. I would never qualify DLC as Game of the Year worthy. Nope. Never. Okay, maybe like DLC of the year, but even that's a stretch. No, I didn't play Shadow of the Erdtree. Why do you ask? You know what? I'll show them how to make a slippery slope. If they don't care about what qualifies as a Game of the Year, then neither will I. Top 10 games of 2024. So the yearly 10 game quota has now been inflated to 11. If you have any issues with this, please contact HR. Thank you very much. Top 11 games of 2024. Black Ops 6, but only the multiplayer mode. Well, this is awkward. Let's make this clear. I am not including the campaign in this list, which was highly overrated. An anticlimactic story propping up promising characters that dared to become uninteresting. Missions shooting for variety's sake, with mission design muddily retreading ideas from Cold War and even earlier Black Ops titles. But, worse. This admission to the top 11 games party also doesn't include zombies, even though that mode is pretty fun. Only multiplayer is recommended in my The Game Awards because I hate how good Call of Duty is this year. It sucks that they decided to focus on high-octane blockbuster action over realism this time around. Who cares about tactics in a Call of Duty game? I want to run and or gun, and nobody is going to stop me from making reckless decisions in the heat of battle. I can't believe Treyarch ditched the convoluted mess that was Modern Warfare 3's weapon unlocking system that meant you had to follow the bloodline of every gun just to unlock the Tribal Chief SMG you actually wanted to use. How dare they go back to the Call of Duty roots to make it easy to understand what level grants what weapon? It's absolutely despicable that they took a long hard look at the Max Payne franchise, because they know I love it so damn much, and implemented the crazy diving maneuvers from those games into Call of Duty. Gosh, this feels like the missing piece to mobility the series has been needing for a long time. Omnidirectional movement is the boots on the ground version of Advanced Warfare's exo movements, and I never thought traversal in a Call of Duty game would ever feel as good as Advanced Warfare again. Look at me. Look how much fun I'm having. F this. 10 out of 10. Tiny Terry's Turbo Trip. I like to think that I'm a silly guy. I like silly things, such as finger guns, animated PowerPoint presentations, and Halloween-themed cereals. These three things should properly express how silly of a guy I am, and I think that's why I love Tiny Terry's Turbo Trip. It's a small-scale GTA clone about being a silly guy doing classic silly guy things. You know the type. There's no innovative gameplay mechanic or gripping sad dad narrative to follow. All the player needs to do is help Tiny Terry chase his lifelong dream of driving a car up into space. That's it. No matter what complex side quests the world tries to throw his way, Tiny Terry is devoted to getting his car up into space. Everything about this game, from the art style to the driving model to the dialogue, is unique and full of charm, culminating in a satisfying conclusion that recontextualizes Tiny Terry's silly antics in a genuine manner. I wish there were more bite-sized open-world adventures like this that refuse to overstay their welcome. By the end of this game, you will love Tiny Terry and fight literally anybody to protect him. If you are a fellow silly guy enthusiast, you can't miss this game. Mullet Mad Jack. I'm that kind of guy who loves to pretend he's above style over substance. The kind of guy who cares deeply about good writing, but constantly seeks out the newest Fast and Furious film. So clearly, I'm a reviewer you can trust. And trust me when I say that Mullet Mad Jack kicks ass. Its 90s anime fashion statement dominates the Steam indie runway and almost everything else on this list. If I kept staring at this art till it got old, I would starve. It's that damn mesmerizing. Oh yeah, I enjoy playing this game too. It blends Hotline Miami's wicked fast live die repeat violence with Call of Duty's twitch-based first-person shooting to create a whiplash of FPS euphoria. Needing to kill enemies non-stop to refill a constantly depleting health bar leaves absolutely no room to breathe between bullets. Yet this mechanic, combined with the flashy art style, gets the blood pumping better than oxygen ever would. Gameplay paced for an adrenaline junkie turns out to be a double-edged sword because no matter how fun it feels, when the adrenaline wears off, it's hard to ignore how little thought was involved in overcoming the game's increasing challenges. I'm not saying this game isn't challenging, but a game that requires little time to think struggles to design any thought-provoking challenge. Most victories feel like I got lucky more than anything else because my strategy to keep shooting, kicking, and moving forward never changed. Brute force is always the answer. It's like trying to hit an astronomically high quota at your desk job. If quantity is the only criteria for success, then speed is more important to you than skill. But screw all that. Mullet Mad Jack's moment-to-moment gameplay is so stylish that who cares about substance? Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. The 27-year gap between Castlevania Symphony of the Night and Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown feels initially negligible when played side by side. But the sands of time were kind to the Metroidvania genre, and Prince of Persia masters every micro-innovation that has bubbled up from the surface since. Ori's platforming prowess, Hollow Knight's combat dominance, Metroid Dread's presentation innovation. Spectacular Metroidvanias are a dime a dozen nowadays, yet this dime piece finds a way to stand out among the rest by simply doing everything the rest does to the best of its abilities. Now that wasn't enough for this prince, it then innovates on its own by elevating the exploration experience with friction-free tricks. Mount Kof is a level-designed sightseeing tour to behold. Like any wonder of the world, you have to truly see it to believe it. The vast massiveness may even be too massively vast, as the elongated intro and open-ended map can delay players from experiencing all the abilities that make Prince of Persia special. Abilities that remind longtime Prince of Persia fans why this game earns its namesake, by capturing the time-bending legacy of its past life within a new Metroidvania template. Combat and platforming are cracked wide open thanks to these joyous abilities that invite playful experimentation. Symphony of the Night is a revelation no matter when you first play it, and Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is just as revelatory for the genre today. RoboCop, Rogue City. The reasons why this game from 2023 made it into my top 11 of 2024 is pretty simple. The game successfully evokes the dingy 80s cyberpunk future from one of my all-time favorite movies with surgical precision. It pays just as much attention in addressing the themes of the original film through its writing as it does through its gameplay. However, the biggest reason why it's here on my list is because I never got around to it until this year. I've been kicking myself in the butt ever since. This game is the complete package, more so than most AAA games nowadays. Writing that'll make you laugh, make you think, and make you think about laughing some more. Gameplay that speaks to the blunt force of RoboCop, yet still providing plenty of flexibility through a tightly designed skill tree. Stunning visuals become the icing on top of this finely layered cake without any air bubbles. Don't miss this game like I almost did. Astrobot. If you ever wanted to know what it feels like to literally inject yourself with a vial of fun, then play Astrobot. This isn't the weak stuff either, it's pure 100% FUN fun. When SpongeBob was serenading Plankton with the concept of fun, SpongeBob was talking about Astrobot. Looking up the word fun in the dictionary would lead you down a very long-winded spelling of the title Astrobot. Fun is actually derived from the Latin phrase Astrus Boticus, which translates to Astrobot. The point is it's fun. But Astrobot Rescue Mission was a little bit funner. If Astrobot is like injecting yourself with fun, then Astrobot Rescue Mission is like injecting yourself with fentanyl for the virtual reality drug trip of a lifetime. And sadly, it's really tough to follow that up on a flat screen TV. If you haven't had a taste of the hard stuff, then Astrobot should not be turned down. It is a perfect platformer, and I think that phrase is underselling it. But if you have already played Rescue Mission, then still play Astrobot, because overdosing on platforming fun will make you feel something no matter what reality you end up in. Indica. Interactivity, gameplay systems, and level up trees all distinguish video games from other popular storytelling art forms like films or books. Yet it is shockingly rare to see these gamifying attributes used as storytelling devices. Finding loot and unlocking skills in God of War 2018 is completely divorced from the story being told. Kratos shouldn't need to level up to remember how to throw an axe better. Indica is one of the few games that utilizes these unique video game qualities in service of the story. A narrative-focused game that's proud to be a video game because it wouldn't be as effective as a movie otherwise. This is more rare than it should be. No gameplay system is wasted. No button press is wasted. Indica respects your time even when it's wasting it to make a point. The constantly shifting gameplay mechanics all have something new to say about Indica's religious strife or traumatic past. Conventional skill trees and routine experience points are intimately tied to the game's themes of self-worth in unconventional ways. Indica fosters a contradictory moral argument that's reflected throughout the world between the mundane tasks in service of her religion, juxtaposed with the surrealist effects they have on her world. Deeply philosophical and poetically challenging, Indica is a shining example of how video games can be the greatest art form of all time, when gameplay is designed to tell the story beyond words. Silent Hill 2. 2. Nobody had this remake on their Game of the Year bingo card, and if you did, you're lying. A remake of arguably the best horror game of all time by a team who regularly made a reputation as the mediocre horror game developers? All in an attempt to modernize a beloved classic so fanatically adored that all its flaws fade behind a thick layer of masturbatory fog? There was no way this would be good. That's why it's number 4 in my top 11. Because it somehow defied all that to be this good. Silent Hill 2 was crafted during a hyper-specific era of sleepy psychological horror that quietly vanished over time. Ignore the modernization of Silent Hill 2's gameplay or story or whatever third thing. Faithfully reforging that unique flavor of horror with today's graphical fidelity is worth the price of admission alone. The atmosphere is dreamlike, dripping with character from corner to corner. Silent Hill makes it easy to get absorbed into its world from the moment the map opens up. It's just a shame that there are all these monsters you have to fight along the way. Combat was never Silent Hill's strong suit, yet that weak suit is sewn together just as faithfully as the world is. Combat is the way it is because James is the way he is. He's not an army vet or an elder lord, he's just an average Joe. The combat accurately depicts his inexperience and clumsiness by giving James a simple attack and dodge move, but not giving him a hard lock-on that would keep him on top of his enemies. It's not the moment-to-moment combat I have an issue with specifically, it's the amount of focus combat takes up for a game that is not Elden Ring. Bloober Team decided to expand upon the original game in many ways, leading to robust survival horror levels that double the length. Adding little new story-wise was the right choice to avoid the risk of tarnishing Silent Hill 2's award-worthy narrative. But that means the padded runtime is spent fighting more and more enemies to the point of tedium. Combat corrupts the pacing of Silent Hill 2 like a cancer, constantly growing until the body buckles from rot. All that being said, it's a testament to how incredible Silent Hill 2's writing, art direction, and music is that I continued to power through the lackluster combat to indulge in every drop of delicious aesthetics I could taste. Tekken 8. Tekken will always be near and dear to my heart. But even I was surprised with how good Tekken 8 was this year. The heat system makes the classic hard-hitting Tekken combat even more gratifyingly aggressive. This leads to less defense-dominant fights and grants Tekken a much-needed boost in its pacing. There's even a cavalcade of single-player content catering to my scrub-level online fighting game tendencies. A ludicrous yet master-crafted story mode of hype wasn't enough for Bandai Namco. They kept the single-player combo going with Arcade Quest's bite-sized RPG that's just as much a tutorial as it is a fun Pokemon-like adventure. What about juggling these alongside a traditional arcade battle mode with lavish cutscenes to flesh out the greater world of Tekken? But there's another surprise. These new additions were so inviting that it actually got me into the multiplayer scene. Did I rank high? No. But I was compelled to keep fighting with how intuitive the training tools were. These tools guided me to more wins online than I ever thought possible. Everything new to Tekken 8 graciously fleshed out the Tekken bone structure I've come to know and love since the PS1 days. It also helps that I can dress up King in some John Cena cosplay. Alan Wake 2, The Lake House DLC. Hey look, I'm just like the Game Awards jury. If you watched my top 10 games of 2023 video, then you already know why Alan Wake 2 is Game of the Year worthy. You would know because it came out in 2023. But the Lake House DLC goes beyond just more Alan Wake 2. It uses its DLC format to further entwine Control and Alan Wake in clever ways, yet still carves a standalone path, speaking to the challenges of how we perceive art today. A story of two destructively analytical minds competing to properly classify and quantify what is art. A rote effort to dissect raw, emotional art until it becomes simply tangible and replicable content that can be repackaged at the whims of the people in power, abusing the supernatural force behind art that lives within the emotional plane. Mediums put through the scientific method to determine whether video games can be considered more or less art than books. What about DLCs? Are those art? Maybe the algorithm can tell us. In God of War Ragnarok, Kratos teaches the boy
It is Greek tradition for a story to unfold in a single time and place uninterrupted. It is more clear.
The Lake House's intimate level design, sense of place, and most importantly, its brevity, allow the player to reasonably bathe in its narrative uninterrupted. Short and sweet, yet powerful and precise in its message. A timely message that you don't need to know the entire Alan Wake Control universe to understand. Now, if only the rest of the gaming industry was listening, or better yet, listening to my #1 game of the year, Mouthwashing. For a horror game set in the far reaches of space, Mouthwashing feels too close to home. For an indie game harking back to the past with its low-poly horror aesthetic, Mouthwashing's narrative is profoundly modern. For a story-based game with so much to say, the less I tell you about Mouthwashing, the better.
In space, no one can hear you scream.
Warned the marketing of Ridley Scott's seminal film, Alien. Mouthwashing reimagined space horror by confessing, in space, no one cares if you scream. In fact, it's your fault for putting yourself in a position where you wanted to scream. Exploring the fear of being trapped goes far beyond the literal trappings of a crew stranded light years away inside a crashed freighter. This horrifying dread is reflected within the social expectations of the crew, the futile nature of corporate structure, the damning pressure behind responsibility, blasting a spotlight on the terrifying lengths certain people will go to ignore it. This game is dreadful, rotten to its core, with no place to turn for help. Being trapped with the rot is what makes Mouthwashing so scary. The vessel of the story being a non-linear writing style that digs deep into the bone-gnawing anxieties people deal with on a day-to-day, but isn't afraid to show where this line of thinking takes the worst, most destructive kinds of people. A brief yet compelling experience that's challenging to keep playing, but even more challenging to put down. I will never forget the screams coming from this game, and from myself as I played. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching my elaborate excuse to add Alan Wake 2 The Lake House DLC into my top 10 games of 2024. A wise man once considered tweeting, "Video games are supposed to be fun." And he was right. However, the funnest game on this list only made like the number 6 spot, so that can't all be what games are good for. This list proves that video games can be challenging, literary, and really cool looking. Thankfully, the curse of unboredom impacts us all as we collect and hopefully consume every game of the year we can find. Haunted by games of Steam sales past, present, and future during the process. When all you see are ghosts, it's easy to forget how much fun exorcisms can be. There is no sacred method for celebrating video games no matter what gets nominated at the GAs. There will be another top 10 next year, and 100 more games that will be forgotten behind the motion blur of zeitgeist. The backlog builds, and it builds, and it outlives us all in the end. So what's the point of this hobby anymore? To remember to enjoy it.